Greetings, everyone. Welcome to you all from Team Codex Enigma from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Lucknow. Firstly, we would like to thank Flipkart to give us this opportunity, and now we'd like to present to you our solution, which is the asset discovery and monitoring tool. So, the first task that we were able to figure out while building the tool was that it's not just about coding it, but also having a setup of an active directory where we can actually test and make sure that what we are building is something that can be deployed. So, when we started researching about it, we were not able to find any actual data on any resources out there. So, to understand functionalities, to understand how Active Directories work, we built an Active Directory lab inside VMware with one Windows server and several workstations. Along with that, when we were building it, we were able to figure out more and more, and then we were even able to add rules and group policies to replicate a real AD environment in mini size, with keeping the scope that this can be easily scaled up in case of requirements. You can now see that how we have set up servers, we have added workstations, we have added tools, we have added group policies according to a real environment inside a company. So now coming to the functioning of the tool. So throughout the experience of coding it, we made sure that this tool is very easy to set up in new environments. Thus, we made sure that it's a single command click to run tool. So you just have to type python main.py and it will make sure that the backend and the front end starts working in an integrated manner with a single command. Now, as we are setting it up for the first time, it requires administrative privileges for the firewall. So you get a prompt requesting them. So a logical question arises that why is this being done? We require these privileges so that we can create a rule in the firewall. By this rule, the port 5000 will now be up and running in the local device and throughout the network, thus allowing access to the tool across the network. Since the tool has now up and running, now let's go to the front end. As you can see, it's live on port 5000. So now you'll be asking like, what is the screen? So what happens is that though the tool is running just inside the domain network, we have made sure that the access is restricted to authorized users, due to which there's a master password based login which can be changed by the authorized people. Now once post the provision of the master password, what you will see is this screen. So here what you have to do is enter the details of the AD network which you want to scan and which devices you want to discover. So now you can see that you'll be required to enter the basic details. And in case that the network which you wish to scan and track its assets is remote, you can simply enter the SSH details, post which a tunnel will be formed to communicate with that network. So we have already provided the details, and as you have seen the lab, so we'll just skip it. Now, welcome to the dashboard. So, data is something which we all have, and again, this is a tool just built to better understanding for the data. So, on the home screen, you can find more graphs which enables you to read that data. So, the first graph is about the operating system distribution, that what are the various operating systems being run by the different devices. The next is the number of groups in networks. So you can see we have lab 1, lab 2, and the various groups running in each network. At the last, we have all the domain groups available under the company, and how many users are there in each group. So adding on to this, our tool offers various different other functionalities too. So to start off with, let's go to the user section. So here you will be able to see all the AD networks. So the only thing you have to do is select the one whose users you wish to see and track. So now here you can see that we have very simply displayed all the users' data. And you can see the name, the group they belong to, and the user principal name. Now you must be inquisitive about this green light next to a name. This shows that this user is currently logged into some system which the company owns. So another thing you can see is that when you scroll over names, over some you can click, over others you can't. The ones which are clickable are actually the ones which are being monitored. And you can see the current device being used by them, their last logins for the past 30 days, and the devices used by them. Also, in case the user is not logged in, they will just simply, have null as their current device. And adding on to that, it may happen that in a big firm there are thousand or 1500 or many thousand users. So you can also filter them by the groups they belong to, and you can see users belonging to a particular section by applying the filter. You can see that in the following groups, only Stella and however there, so only they are being shown. So now let me take you to the computer section. So, welcome to the computer section. So, what you have to do here is choose an AD network whose devices you wish to monitor and learn more about. So, what happens is that our tool keeps on running scans in the background and fetches all the data about all the devices inside that Active Directory. So you can see that all the devices are listed here. You can get various details about their IP, their DNS host, their groups, last logon. And by the scroll and the monitor section, you can actually find out whether their access is being monitored or not. Along with that, we have detailed updates about their OS. You can see that all of these are running OS 10 only, but it may happen that some device was using an older version and they may become a vector of attack. So to prevent that, the team can already provide a patch and make sure that any such attack does not happen. So now you will be asking about the green button. This shows that this device is being currently accessed, and if you click on it, you can see about who is using it. Like you can see that Steel is the current user, and even the last time it was logged on, it was Steel, and also when Steel logged off. And you will be seeing that what does default mean. So actually, what default means is that this device was physically used. That's why the IP and MAC is same as the device that is physically present there. One thing you can see that here in the other device, which is WS3, the last user source IP and source MAC is present for Steel. This means that Steel using his own device did a remote login to this device. And thus you can actually get the details from where was the remote access being done even. Another functionality that is there is listing of the devices on the basis of their operating system. So you can just click on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and find out about all the devices belonging there. And again, as you saw about the filter in user section, we also have a filter in the computer section. Let me show you the computer section live in action now. So as we know that Stella is currently logged on. So now let me just open the machine being used by Stella. So this is a device being used by Stella, and I'm going to simply perform a logout here. So I'll just sign out of Stella, and so we have been able to log out of Stella, and now just let me log in with the SQL administrator account. So now we have done this. Now just let me take you back to the front end. Now you can see once we are able to refresh it that now the current user is SQL and Stella has logged out. So that was all about the computer section. So now let me take you to the sites functionality section. So what happens is when you go on to sites, so our tool runs a deep scan on the parent domain and finds out all the subdomains. Post which, using the nuclei tool, we run a deep scan on each subdomain, and if any vulnerability is detected, it is listed here. And what can happen is that in some cases there may be some vulnerability which is very weak, which is shown by the white vulnerability. And again, in that term, we have listed them in color of severity, orange being the most. So what you can do is that after fixing it, it can be directly deleted, or in case it is a very small, it can be ignored. And even if you are not deleting it, the next time the framework runs the scan, you won't be able to see the vulnerability if, in case it has been solved. So that was how we are able to check on about any vulnerability throughout all the parent domain. So now let me take you to the next session, which is GitHub. Welcome to the GitHub functionality section. So what happens here is that you define the GitHub organization, and you define the keywords which represent threat. This is done through the settings section, which will be showing you after this. So what happens is that once you set the GitHub organization, and then every time a new commit is sent, our tool will scan the commit for such a restricted keyword being pushed. So you can see that we were able to go down to the particular commit, and you can see that here a secret key keyword was found. And in case, then you can just go to the commit, scan the commit for if there's a data which should not be there, and in case it comes out as a false positive, you can directly delete it, else it can be simply fixed by you and then deleted. So now let me take you to the settings section. So welcome to the settings section, which acts as a control panel of our whole tool. Here you can change the master password, which is only given to the authorized users. Adding on to that, you can add more multiple networks, be it remote too, which you want to monitor using the tool. Going ahead, you can here add the keys which you want to be monitored throughout your commits. You can easily add them, you can easily delete them with just a single click. And you can further go on and set the scan interval time. This can be set to minutes as defined by you. And on that certain interval, the tool will keep on running its scan. Here you can update the GitHub organization which you wish to be monitored. And with that, this is the tool that we have built. And this is our submission for the national finals round. And bidding ode to you, Team Codex Enigma.